First Voyage Around the World by Antonio Pigafetta. Ferdinand Magellan was the first European to cross the Pacific Ocean. He was a Portuguese navigator and explorer who sailed under the flags of both Portugal and Spain. He offered a bold plan to his rival King Charles I of Spain. The king agreed, and their expedition was under the flag of the king. The king helped him assemble an expedition with 270 crew and 5 ships known as carracks. A Venetian scholar and explorer, Antonio Pigafetta, then accompanied Ferdinand Magellan. The expedition started in the late 1400s, and they made great voyages into the unknown, full of danger, adventure, and discovery. The fleet set sail on the 20th of September 1519 and crossed a stormy Atlantic to reach the future site of Rio de Janeiro in modern Brazil. Here, the men traded with local tribes, exchanging simple objects like metal, fish hooks, and playing cards for fresh food and water. Magellan continued south until winter storms forced him to camp in Puerto San Julian. There, Magellan forced a mutiny led by Spanish officers, convinced he was leading them to their doom. Magellan acted swiftly and ruthlessly. He spent loyal men to kill one of the ringleaders. Another was captured and executed. Go to the far ocean, a sea that seemed so calm, he named it Mare Pacifico, the peaceful sea, or the Pacific Ocean. A week later, Magellan and his men became the first European to reach the Philippines, where they were able to feast on bananas and coconuts. With Magellan's Malay slave acting as translator, they sailed through the Philippines to Cebu, where they made an alliance with the local ruler who agreed to be baptized to Christian and swore allegiance to the King of Spain. He crossed to Mactan with 60 men in boats, but though the Europeans had superior weapons and armors, they were massively outnumbered. After earning the enemy village, Magellan's men were driven back into the shallow water, where Magellan himself was cut down as they tried to reach the boats. Now, their former allies on Cebu turned on Magellan's crew, butchering 30 of them in an ambush.
Saturday, March 16, 1521. Magellan's expedition sighted a highland named Zamal, which was some 300 leagues westward of Landrones Island. Sunday, March 17, the following day, after sighting Zamal Island, they landed on another island which was uninhabited, and which lay to the right of the above-mentioned island of Zamal. There they set up a tent for the sick members of the crew. This island was located at 10 degrees north latitude. The name of this island was Homonhon. On the same day, Sunday, March 17, Magellan named the entire archipelago the islands of St. Lazarus. The reason being that it was Sunday in the Lenten season when the Gospel assigned for the Mass and the liturgical office was the 11th chapter of St. John, which tells us the rising of Lazarus from the dead. Monday, March 18, in the afternoon of their second day on that island, they saw a boat coming towards them with men in it. An exchange of gifts was effected. Magellan asked for food supplies and the men went away, promising to bring rice and other supplies in 4 days. There were 2 springs of water on that island of Homonhon. Also, they saw there some indications that there was gold in these islands. Consequently, Magellan renamed the island and called it the watering place of good omen, or Aquada Ladi Boni Senyali. Friday, March 22, in the afternoon, the natives arrived with 2 ships and food. Magellan's voyage lasted 8 days at Homonhon.
Monday, March 25 in the afternoon, they sailed away from Homonhon, and on the same day, it was the day of the feast of the Annunciation or Our Lady's Day. The route they took away from Homonhon would pass through the 4 islands, Senalo, Yunangan, Ibuson, and Alvarin. Their voyage was to Mazawa. Thursday, March 28, the morning of their arrival on the island of Mazawa. They remained 7 days on Mazawa Island. On Thursday, April 4, they left the island of Mazawa to sail to Cebu. The king of Mazawa sailed with them in his own boat to guide them on the road to Cebu. During their journey, they passed the islands of Ceylon, Bohol, Caninghan, Baybay, and Gatingan. The Spanish ship stopped to wait for the king of Mazawa. From Camotes Island, they sailed going to the island of Zubu. Saturday, April 7, when they arrived to the Zubu, it took them 3 days to sail from Mazawa to Camotes Island and Cebu. For a long period of time, the agrarian system of Philippines was being controlled by the large landlords. The small farmers in the Philippines were struggling for their rights to land and other natural resources.
Bakit kayo nagsisismisan dyan? Magtrabaho nga kayo.
Mananghalian muna tayo. Tara, tara. High blood si madam.
Ano ba nangyari?
Madam, kanina bakit galit ka? Kaya nga, mukhang stress. Mari, kuha na kayo dito. Kainan na! Salamat, Mari. Salamat. Sa ulitin.
Ano ba yan? Saging na naman?
Pasensya na anak, ito lang ang nakayanan natin. Magpasalamat ka na lang sa Panginoon at meron tayong nakakain ngayon.
Kaya nga, masarap pa yung saging.
Si nanay.
Kita mo naman kung kaano kahirap ang buhay ng magsasaka. Hindi sapat ang kita. Oh anak!
Nay! Kamusta ang pag-aaral?
Okay naman po, Nay. Nay, meron po kaming babayaran para sa exam.
Babayaran?
Opo.
Magkano ba ang babayaran niyo, anak?
100 po, Nay.
100? Hindi ba pwedeng sa sunod na lang, anak?
Nay, nahihiya na po kasi ako.
Magkano ba yan?
Pwedeng ito muna, anak. Maghanap pa ako ng pera eh.
Nay, nahihiya na po kasi ako makiusap sa kanila.
Tanggapin mo na maghanap ako ng pera.
Sige po, Nay. Salamat. Oo nga.
naming dalawa yan. Lahat na yan yung balak namin ibenta sa inyo. Sa deal. Thank you. Yan. Yan, lahat yan.
Tinanggalan tayo ng karapatan kaya ipaglaban natin ang agraryang reforma.
Paglaban! Nay! Mukhang yun ang may-ari ng lupa. Mukhang ipapabenta nila ang lupain. Okay na. Maganda siya. Teka, ano yun?
Sandali lang ma'am. May nagdarali. Sandali lang ma'am. May nagdarali.
Bakit nyo kami tinatanggalan ng karapatan sa lupang kami ang nahihirap? Ipaglaban natin ang mga karapatan natin. Ipaglaban! Ipaglaban!
Ano sa tingin yung ginagawa ninyo? Wala kayong karapatan sa lupang ito. Akin yan.
Sila ba yung mga nagtatrabaho sa lupang
Oo,
binenta
sila
mo
yun.
sa akin? Huwag kayong mag-alala. Kapag napasa akin ang lupaing ito, ibibigay ko sa inyo ang karapatan nyo. Makukuha nyo ang karapatan nyo. Pwede kayong magtrabaho sa lupaing ito.
Totoo ba yan? Dahil kaming mga magsasaka ay nagtatrabaho ng maayos para lang may makain.
Pangako ko sa inyo.
Pangako yan. Narinig nyo ba yan mga kasama?
Agrarian reform is a 100-year history of unfinished reforms after the United States took over the country from Spaniards. Before the Hispanic period, there were no cultivators, only communal land owned by the barangay, which consisted of a datu, freemen, serfs, and slaves.
I've been reading books of old, the legends and the myths, Achilles and his gold, Achilles and his gifts, and Spider-Man's control.